The Cairo sun beat down on the Ismailia Canal, its rays glinting off the slow-moving water. The city was already alive with the sounds of traffic, distant voices, and the ever-present hum of daily life. Yet, beneath this ordinary morning, something sinister was about to unfold. It was Tuesday, September 26, 2024. The day had begun like any other, with the promise of routine and the comfort of familiarity. But for one man, this day would be anything but ordinary. Around 10 in the morning, a fisherman named Gamal stood on the canal bank, casting his line into the murky water. He had fished here for years, finding solace in the gentle lapping of the current and the quiet escape from the city's chaos, but today, his peaceful ritual was shattered. As Gamal peered into the water, something unusual caught his eye, a pale shape drifting just beneath the surface. He squinted, heart pounding, and realized with horror that it was a human leg, severed just above the knee. Panic seized him, his breath catching in his throat as the reality of what he was seeing set in. His hands trembling, Gamal fumbled for his phone and immediately called the police, his voice barely steady as he described the grisly discovery. The words felt foreign in his mouth, as if saying them aloud might somehow make them less real. Within minutes, officers arrived at the scene, their faces grim as they took in the sight before them. The canal, usually a place of quiet routine, had become the setting for a nightmare. The leg was fresh, the skin still pale and untouched by the sun. It floated eerily in the water, a silent testament to the violence that had brought it here. The officers exchanged uneasy glances, knowing they were at the start of something far more disturbing than a simple accident. Forensic experts soon joined the officers, carefully examining the remains. It was clear from the size and shape that the leg belonged to a young man, someone whose life had been abruptly and violently interrupted. The water swirled around the limb, indifferent to the horror it held. The canal, a silent witness, offered no answers, only the chilling evidence of a crime. As the investigation widened, officers searched the area and made another shocking discovery. Nearby, in a dumpster, lay a tattooed arm, carelessly discarded among the trash. The tattoos were distinctive, swirling patterns and bold lines that hinted at a story, a personality, a life cut short. Investigators hoped these markings might help identify the victim, but for now, they only deepened the mystery. Who was this young man? How had he ended up here, his body dismembered and discarded like refuse? The canal bank, once a place of solitude, now felt haunted by the weight of unanswered questions and the echo of a life lost. News of the gruesome discovery spread rapidly, igniting fear and speculation throughout the city. Crowds gathered near the canal, whispering anxiously, their imaginations running wild with theories and suspicions. Fear gripped the city as rumors swirled. The police, faced with a baffling case and mounting public pressure, worked tirelessly to piece together the fragments of a life and a crime. Yet, as detectives combed through missing persons reports and searched for any clue, they found nothing that matched the remains. The victim was a ghost, unclaimed, unknown, and unaccounted for. The investigation was only just beginning, but one thing was already clear: this was no accident. Someone had gone to great lengths to hide a terrible crime, and the city was left reeling in its wake. As dusk fell over Cairo, a tense silence settled over the city. People locked their doors a little earlier, casting wary glances at strangers. The sense of safety had been shattered. Somewhere a killer walked among them, hidden in plain sight, blending into the crowd. The city's pulse quickened with fear, and the hunt for answers had only just begun. A life, once filled with hope and dreams, had been brutally extinguished. And as the investigation unfolded, Cairo would be forced to confront the darkness lurking just beneath its surface. In the heart of Mina, a small city nestled along the banks of the Nile, south of the bustling capital of Cairo, lived a young man named Mina Mousa. Mina, with its sun-drenched streets and close-knit neighborhoods, was a place where everyone seemed to know each other, and where stories of kindness traveled fast. Mina was just 20 years old, but his gentle spirit and warm, inviting smile made him stand out in the crowd. He had a presence that put people at ease, and a way of listening that made you feel like you truly mattered. Everyone who knew Mina loved him. Friends, neighbors, and even strangers would often say that Mina had a rare gift. He made people feel seen, heard, and valued. Whether it was a simple greeting on the street or a heartfelt conversation, Mina's kindness left a lasting impression. Mina was a nurse, a calling he had felt since he was a child. He had always wanted to help people, to ease their pain and bring comfort in times of need. For him, nursing was more than a job. It was a way to give back to his community and to touch lives every single day. He worked in the neonatal intensive care unit, where the tiniest and most vulnerable patients fought for their first breaths. Mina treated each fragile newborn with extraordinary tenderness, as if they were his own family. Parents would often say that his gentle hands and reassuring words brought them hope during their darkest hours. Mina's life was a testament to his big heart. He was always the first to offer help, whether it was comforting a grieving parent or staying late to make sure a patient was never alone. His compassion seemed endless, and his dedication inspired those around him. But Mina's kindness didn't stop at the hospital doors. He volunteered at a local orphanage, bringing laughter and joy to children who had so little. He organized games, brought small gifts, and made sure every child felt special, even if just for a moment. In his neighborhood, Mina was known as the one you could always count on. He helped his elderly neighbors with groceries and errands, never expecting anything in return. For Mina, these small acts of service were simply part of who he was. He was the kind of person who made the world a better place simply by being in it. His presence uplifted those around him, and his optimism was contagious. People often said that Mina's kindness was a light in their lives, shining even on the hardest days. Yet despite all he gave to others, Mina carried dreams that reached far beyond the borders of Minya. He wanted to provide a better life for his family, his hard-working father, and his 4 beloved sisters. He dreamed of a future where they would never have to worry about money or opportunity. Mina yearned for a chance to grow his career, to learn more, to make a real difference in the world. He spent his evenings studying medical books and researching ways to advance, hoping that one day he could bring even greater change to his community and his family. Little did he know that burning desire for a better life would soon lead him down a path filled with uncertainty and risk. A journey that would test his courage, his faith, and the very heart of gold that made him who he was. One day a job offer appeared on Mina's phone. It was for a private nursing position in Cairo, caring for an elderly Alzheimer's patient. The pay was excellent, much more than he was making in Minya, and it came with free housing. It seemed too good to be true. The offer was sent by a friend, Milad, who was also a nurse. Milad had found the job through what seemed like a reputable recruitment agency. He couldn't take it himself, as he was due for his mandatory military service. He thought of Mina, his kind, hard-working friend, and knew it would be the perfect opportunity for him. Mina was ecstatic. This was his chance to achieve his dreams. He could send more money home to his family. He could gain valuable experience in a specialized field. Cairo, the bustling capital, held the promise of a brighter future. He shared the news with his family, his voice filled with excitement, but their reaction was not what he expected. Instead of joy, he was met with worry and apprehension. Mina's parents were hesitant about the job offer. The news had arrived like a sudden gust of wind, stirring up both excitement and anxiety in their quiet home. They sat together at the kitchen table, the weight of the decision pressing down on them, their faces etched with worry. For them, the world outside Minya seemed unpredictable, even dangerous, and the thought of their only son leaving for the sprawling city of Cairo filled them with dread. They had heard stories about Cairo, about the dangers that lurked in its crowded streets. The city was a place of opportunity, yes, but also of uncertainty, a place where people could vanish in the blink of an eye, where the noise and chaos could swallow a person whole. Rumors of crime, political unrest, and the struggles of daily life in the capital haunted their thoughts. They urged him to be careful, to reconsider. His father spoke in a low, steady voice, reminding Mina of the comfort and safety of home, of the community that had always protected him. His mother, her hands trembling, pleaded with him to think twice, to weigh the risks against the promise of a new beginning. His mother, with tears in her eyes, pleaded with him to stay in Minya where it was safe. She clung to him, her embrace desperate, as if she could hold back the future with the strength of her love. But Mina was determined. He saw the opportunity as a chance to prove himself, to build a life beyond the boundaries of his small town. He assured his family that he would be careful. He smiled gently, trying to ease their fears, promising that he would look after himself and stay out of trouble. He spoke of the job, of the possibilities it offered, and of his dreams for the future. He promised to call them every day. He knew how much his parents worried, and he wanted to give them some measure of comfort. He swore he would never let a day go by without checking in, without letting them know he was safe. He believed that this opportunity was worth the risk. The thought of a new life, of independence and adventure, filled him with hope. He packed his bags with care, each item a reminder of home, but also a symbol of the journey ahead. He was young and full of hope. The world seemed wide open, and he was eager to explore it, to carve out his own path. He imagined the bustling streets of Cairo, the endless possibilities, the people he would meet, and the stories he would create. Before leaving, he tucked a family photo into his suitcase, a small token of the life he was leaving behind and a reminder of the people who loved him most. He couldn't have known the darkness that awaited him. The future was a mystery, and though he tried to focus on the positive, a shadow of uncertainty lingered at the edge of his thoughts. His goodbyes were heavy with emotion. Each embrace, each whispered word of encouragement, felt like a final blessing. The air was thick with unspoken fears and hopes. He hugged his friends and colleagues tightly, as if he knew he might never see them again. Their support meant everything to him, and their faces were etched with concern and pride. He promised to visit soon, but his words rang hollow, even to his own ears. Deep down, he sensed that life was about to change in ways he couldn't predict. A local volunteer group where Mina dedicated his free time even threw him a farewell party. They gathered in a small room decorated with streamers and balloons, sharing laughter and memories late into the night. They celebrated his achievements, his kindness, his unwavering dedication to others. Friends and neighbors raised their glasses, toasting to his future and reminiscing about the difference he had made in their lives. They had no idea it would be their last celebration with him. The laughter and joy of that night would soon be replaced by worry and sorrow. That night, Mina wrote a letter to his parents, expressing his gratitude for their love and support, and his hope that he would make them proud. As Mina boarded the bus to Cairo, a wave of unease washed over him. The engine rumbled to life, and the familiar sights of his hometown faded into the distance. He couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The road ahead seemed long and uncertain, and the faces of his loved ones lingered in his mind. He had received some strange messages and calls in the days leading up to his departure. Unfamiliar numbers, cryptic warnings, and unsettling silences had left him uneasy, but he tried to dismiss them as coincidence. As the bus rolled through the night, Mina stared out the window, watching the city lights flicker in the distance, his mind racing with questions and doubts, but he pushed those thoughts aside, focusing on the hope that glimmered on the horizon. He reminded himself of his dreams, of the life he wanted to build, and the people he wanted to help. He was on his way to a better life, or so he thought. The city awaited, full of promise and peril, and Mina was determined to face whatever came next with courage and hope.